The battles at the University of Cape Town are heating up. Now, the Council Chairperson Babalwa Ngonyama is calling for an independent investigation into allegations of misconduct against her. And of course, the allegations center around, the departure of the former Deputy Vice-chancellor for Learning and Teaching, Associate Professor Lis Lange. Now, quite a lot of people have had a lot to say about this particular story. Let's speak now to UCT Center for Social Science Research Director, Professor Jeremy Seekings, who joins us live now. Prof, thank you so much for your time this evening. In your view, I mean, a lot has been said in the public domain by those involved, those on the sidelines, but what exactly is going on here?
Well, this is what we're seeing now is the symptoms of a problem that's affected the university for nearly 5 years, and that is some very serious problems in our senior leadership. And these problems have been festering, if you like, for 5 years, and the university's top leaders haven't addressed these problems adequately, and now they're exploding in our face. So the immediate crisis is prompted around division within the governing council of the university. And remember, the council is the statutory body appointed under the Higher Education Act to govern university, and it includes a number of members who are nominated by the Minister of Education, Higher Education and others, and they're responsible ultimately for the governance of the university. And there was a huge fight at their last meeting over this. And that was prompted by a revolt in the university's Senate over the way that the Senate has been, or some of the things that have been told to Senate by the chair of council and by the vice-chancellor. Now, Senate is the academic body that runs the academic affairs university. Historically, it includes professors, but it also includes heads of department, other representatives of departments, students, all parts of the university. So it's got a very wide membership. And Senate, when it met 10 days or so ago, revolted, if you like is the right word. It was a revolt, a rebellion against what might be, or what appears to be, a case of being misled by, or even worse, by the chair of council and the vice-chancellor with regards to the departure of the deputy vice-chancellor for teaching and learning.
I'll get to what also the council chair said to you, my colleague Iman Rapeti, last night, but some have said that this is a racial issue, that these are two black women that are being attacked based on the fact that this university is previously, discriminatory in nature and would have never accepted the leadership of black women. How do you respond to that, especially given what we're also seeing unfolding in public?
Well, of course, some people are going to say that, aren't they? I mean, we know that the sort of the race card is played sometimes correctly and sometimes incorrectly, inappropriately, a lot in South African society. Well, I would remind, it's important to remind us as to who were the first two people who really revealed, if you like, the problems in the university leadership. The first was the university's former ombud, who stepped down at the end of 2020, and we don't have an ombud anymore. But the ombud, an extraordinarily forceful and honourable person, Zitu Makamandela Mkukulwa, she was the first person who really said, look, there's a problem in the leadership. In a report to council, she said that many people, 37 people in the university, complained to her about the leadership of the vice-chancellor. Right? So this was if you want to racialize it, this was a black woman pointing out some problems with another black woman. And when people said to her, how can you do this? You surely should be showing solidarity. She said very boldly that when she is the ombud, her job is to call out problems in the university, regardless of who they are. And she's not going to simply cover for a black vice-chancellor because the person is black. The other second person who, in fact, was instrumental in revealing, pulling back the curtains on some of these problems was the previous chair of council, who was Sipho Pachana, who was also black, I suppose, if you want to use these racial terms. Right? So the first two people who bravely and forcefully said that there are some problems with the leadership were both black. And one of the deputy vice-chancellors who left in the middle of this controversy was also a black woman. So this goes beyond race. Well, I'd also point out that Senate is a there's clearly there's still a lot of people on Senate who are white, or who, like myself, come from abroad and are sometimes seen as being white, but there's also very many black members. When Senate voted on this, 90% of Senate have twice voted in favour of really in rebellion. You don't get 90% of Senate voting in rebellion unless this cuts across racial lines.
And I mean, when one reads what you've written, you talk about how important it's going to be that any external investigation uncovers the toxic mess in the leadership of the university, and you talk about the council's chronic failure to solve the problems or address the invidious consequences in the day-to-day operations of the university. Now, the council chair, speaking to my colleague last night, Babalwa Ngonyama, saying that there should be an independent probe here, and it should be given space to get to the bottom of what is going on here. Do you back that probe?
Yes, I do. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not a member of council, and this is really council's responsibility to make some decisions on this. They are charged with overseeing the governance of the university. But I think an external inquiry is absolutely essential. But the big question in my mind is, what is the inquiry going to be into? It worried me a lot that when Babalwa Ngonyama, for whom I've had a lot of respect hitherto, that Babalwa Ngonyama, when she spoke to your colleague last night and to the other TV channel, she was implying, I thought, that the inquiry would simply be into whether Senate had acted unprocedurally to express its discontent, and whether and how the proceedings should have been within council. And those seem to me to be symptoms of the problem, not the underlying problem. The underlying problem here, the elephant in the room, if you like, is the malaise in the university leadership, which is really bound up with the leadership style of our vice-chancellor. And that's really what we need to address. I've got a lot of sympathy for Babalwa Ngonyama, who's in a terrible position. She took over as chair of council in the middle of 2020, when this problem was already present. And I think she came in absolutely determined to deal with this problem, right? And of course, she didn't want all of this dirty washing to be aired in public. If you had problems at a university or problems anywhere, you don't want to make these obvious to everybody, right? And I think she genuinely tried to address these problems. But 2 years on, we can see she's failed. She hasn't succeeded in addressing these issues, right? And you can't keep covering up the problems. You actually at some point, you've got to say, right, we actually need to do something much more drastic. We need to have a very serious interrogation of why these problems are persisting, right? And we've now got to the stage, unfortunately, where that has to be external.
All right, Prof, I suppose this is far from over. Listening to what you're saying, quite a lot is at play here. But let's thank you for your time and leave it there with you for now. Thank you so much for coming through. That was UCT Centre for Social Science Research Director, Professor Jeremy Seekings.